What's up, Metal Wani? This is Dallas here with James from Vader. How's it going, James?
Hey man, it's great, thanks.
Good. Kind of jumping into Poland, how would you describe Poland's scene compared to Norway, Sweden, and...
Well, I guess it's more on the death metal side of things, really. You know, Sweden and Norway and tend to be more famous for the black metal stuff. I mean, a lot of death metal came out of Sweden too. I guess it's a bit more. It's a bit faster than the sort of the Swedish death metal stuff. It's a little bit. Doesn't have that kind of crunchy guitar tone that you associate with the Swedish death metal bands. But really, I don't know, man. That's down to everybody else. It's to be like a lot of blast beats, more than in other, you know, death metal bands from other countries. I guess apart from, I'd say Poland with its death metal scene is kind of similar to South America, mostly, with the approach to playing and stuff. But how does it compare? I think you got to take it on a band by band basis. You know, I don't really mess around with the scene of a country. You know, it's a question we get asked a lot, and it's really impossible to define. You know, it's lots of different things to lots of different people. So it's not something that I give any thought to. You know, I play in Vader and I enjoy it. You know, so I don't really fussed about what country a band is coming from. If they're good, they're good.
Well, so what about the different crowds and crowd response? Does that differ from region to region?
Oh yeah, of course. You know, I mean, Poland is still going to be Poland in Europe, Vader's main market, because that's where we are. You know, but you know, you get fans are eccentric in a different way in all these kind of places. You know, in Poland and Russia in the east, they drink a lot of vodka. In the UK, they drink a lot more beer, and you get different kinds of drunk people at shows. I mean, in Japan you get gifts from a lot of hardcore fans out there. When we go to South America, you know, they just go totally apeshit. You know, I think most of them are pretty sober as well, whereas, you know, in the rest of Europe they tend to be pretty drunk before they get that kind of crazy. But I think we're pretty lucky with the fans we got all over. You know, they're into metal, they're into the scene, they're into everything that's going on. So they're really appreciative whenever we come around. So it's really nice.
Yeah. You know. So you guys were some of the first bands to make headway into China's metal scene. What was that like?
I don't know if we're one of the first. I mean, the promoter brought a lot of guys over. You know, Creator, Behemoth, and Opeth have all went there before us. But it's nice. It's a real honour to be able to go out to China and do that kind of stuff. The fans appreciate us going out there. You know, they're just into the scene and they want to see bands, and it's great. You know, so going out there is just a pleasure.
Is the culture different in the way metal's?
Well, they don't have Facebook there, so I mean the culture's totally different to anything we can imagine, and I haven't spent long enough there to be able to give you a good answer on how or why. I've been there for a total of less than 48 hours.
Oh, okay.
I've been there twice, and for sure it's probably less than 30 hours that we spent in China in total. So I don't want to give any I don't want to make any sweeping statements about the people or the culture or even the metal scene, because we just haven't been there long enough to experience it properly. All I know is from the show, and from the show, man, they were into it. They liked it. It was great, you know. Yeah. Really appreciative when bands come out.
So Flashbang Reaction was a good one.
Yeah, it's great, man.
So the band's seen a lot of pretty intense lineup changes, but it's remained stable since 2011. Do you think the band's sound has really changed with the lineup changes, or?
No, it's changed as the band has stayed together longer. That's how you get a sound to change, really, because you know, it changes with the lineup changes, but in a way that's not quantifiable. What you really need for a positive change in sound is to keep the same people together for a long time, because it brings stability, like you said, and that gives us a platform where we know what's going on, and we can experiment and try new things out. Whereas if you've got someone new all the time, they're just having a hard enough time, you know, getting the songs down. So, and then if you switch to someone, and then you switch to a, you know, like a new drummer or a new bass player, where you've got a new guitarist as well, then it just becomes about trying to get the song down, rather than, okay, we've played this song a few hundred times now all over the world, how can we change something about it, or what else can we do to sort of to not be boring, not to give the same show over and over again. So with that stability that we've had, we can talk about this kind of stuff, and we can change the classics around a little bit so that we play them in a slightly different way, or we can try and mess around with a few more obscure songs. But all of that comes with just being the same lineup for a long time. I think really being stable, that's the best way to get a good sound.
To kind of grow together.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So then, how do you personally feel about the way Vader's sound has grown and changed over the years?
I mean, I think we're in a really strong position now musically. I think we're in the strongest position we've been in since a very, very, very long time. You know, speaking as a fan of Vader, I've gone through all the lineup changes until I joined as a fan, and there were definitely times where it sounded great, and there's been a few times in the recent past where it wasn't quite working. But now, after so long on the road together, you know, everything is really, really super tight. We're in really good shape. Everybody's in good condition. So we're just playing these songs, well, giving the songs the musicianship that they deserve, I think. You know, I think that's the real... Vader's a no bullshit kind of band, man. We just play this stuff, and we try and just play it really, really super well, and give everybody a good time and have fun. So I think that's really how the sound has changed. It's just become more confident, more tighter, more powerful, you know, but not without falling into the trap of becoming routine.
Yeah,
if that makes sense.
Yeah. So, on a personal note, what's your personal favorite Vader material? But at the same time, what's your least favorite material, whether it's to listen to or to play?
I mean, I enjoy playing all the songs, really. I mean, I don't think there's been any songs where I haven't really enjoyed playing. There's one or two that are kind of stupid fast. Like, there's a song called "Come and See My Sacrifice," and there's another song called "Decapitated Saints." Of the "Welcome to the Morbid Reich" version, the version that we actually do when we do play it live. They're just kind of stupid fast. They're borderline unplayable. So I guess those are the ones that cause me the most problems on stage, but they're still kind of fun to play, and the crowd like them. And I found more when it comes to actually playing, it's all about the crowd, you know, whether if they're not giving you any feedback or any energy, then all of the songs become a problem to play rather than any in particular. As for listening, you know, I think my favourite Vader release to listen to is the Sothis EP. I think, man, it was 1994. It sounds amazing still. The musicianship and the songwriting is fucking high. It's a really, really good EP. We've been listening a lot to the first album. We played it twice on this tour in its entirety, so I've rediscovered that one recently too. I think that's and we're playing a lot of songs from that one that we never used to do so often, so that's always nice.
Can you give the download for tonight's plan?
It's a mix of hits. It's you know, we haven't been in the US for a while. We got a new album, so we got to be playing some new stuff. It's the 25th 25th anniversary of the Ultimate Incantation, so we're going to play some old stuff, and we're going to play some hits and one or two slightly more obscure songs that people wouldn't necessarily have heard before from Vader's past. So it's a cool mix. I think it's good for fans and it's good for new people.
Nice. Well, I always love asking about gear because I'm kind of a gear nerd. What do you generally bring with you on tour?
I try and always bring my snare, my cymbals, and my pedals. So I've got a Tama maple snare, Iron Cobra pedals, and Minor cymbals. I use a lot of dark cymbals because they're not too loud, and I hit them quite hard, so that we don't dominate the live sound with loads of cymbals. Because if you have loud cymbals and you hit them hard, then you won't hear the drums. So I spent a long time kind of working really hard on finding the right cymbals to do the job, so that they wouldn't spill into the tom mic so much, and that we could rely on the overheads just if necessary to provide some extra sound, some extra cymbal sound. And then of course we always travel with the trigger module and a little mixer for me, so that I can run an in-ear system. But really we try and travel pretty light, especially if we're flying. If we're driving, then we'll take all of our own stuff.
Nice. So when it comes to writing your material, do you have any particular influences and any specifics that you try and get in?
Not especially, like it's just, if it sounds good, then play it. We're not. We only have a vague sense of direction when we're working on the album. So we've got a few ideas together already for the next one, like about some things that we do want to include. But then we're not talking really about musical influences. We're talking more about at the moment, the only discussion really that we've had on the next album is more about the lyrical direction. So, not going to talk about right now, and for sure it'll all change by the time we actually have the album done, I think. But we've got we just have vague directions, and a lot of them aren't particularly musical, So we're not trying to sound like anyone else. We're trying to sound like us.
Yeah. I don't think there's anybody else that sounds like Vader.
So we just sit around and do our thing until we have an album. It's that simple. We're not. I think when you tour with bands, it rubs off. You pick up that kind of stuff, but we don't ever intentionally do that. But I think on the Empire, you can hear that we did a lot of shows with Venom Inc. and that we were also playing. We did a whole cycle with Creator and Sodom, and I think you can hear some of these influences a little bit, but it's not intentional. It's just because we're listening to this stuff every day. It just sinks in.
Yeah, makes sense. So we have a lot of fans in Australia and India. Any plans to get to either one of those places anytime soon?
Yep, we're going to Australia with Creator in when is that, in September. We're also going to Singapore and Japan with Creator, and New Zealand. Sorry, I forgot about New Zealand. The plan is to do a few more shows with Vader just as a headliner, but I think everything's more or less finalised, but I can't say more until it's announced.
Alright.
Because I don't want to give anyone some hope and then when it's announced, everything's changed already.
Yeah.
So there are plans to tour a few around Asia. We're going to Australia, and hopefully we'll have more info on the Vader headline shows soon.
For sure. And any other future plans we can announce?
Well, just the Creator shows right now, I think, is the only the concrete stuff. We will have more updates coming soon. We're working on the second half of the year right now, we're almost finished working on that, but we just need to wait still a little while before we can announce too much.
Sounds good. Well, I think that about wraps it up for me. So
All right.
I genuinely appreciate your time.
No problem, dude.
So, thank you. And for Metal Wani, this is Dallas. Cheers, guys.
Cheers, man.